The bank was bustling with customers, but when Lisa stepped up to the counter, the teller barely looked at her before shaking his head. "I can't help you," he said coldly, his tone dismissive. Lisa, a well-dressed black woman in her early 40s, frowned. "Excuse me," she asked, keeping her voice calm. The teller sighed, clearly annoyed. "I said I can't help you. Maybe try another bank." Lisa took a deep breath, glancing around. Other customers were being helped without an issue. Was it her skin color? The thought made her chest tighten, but she wasn't about to cause a scene, at least not yet. What the teller didn't know was that Lisa wasn't just any customer. She was the bank's new owner, and today was her first visit since finalizing the deal. Keeping her composure, she reached into her purse. "All right then," she said, pulling out something that would change everything. Lisa placed a crisp folder on the counter, tapping it lightly. The teller barely glanced at it before scoffing. "Ma'am, I told you." "You might want to look a little closer," Lisa interrupted, keeping her voice steady. The teller sighed dramatically, flipping open the folder. His eyes skimmed the first few lines, then widened. Lisa watched as the color drained from his face. This can't be right," he muttered, flipping through the pages frantically. "It is," Lisa said, tilting her head. "I'm the new owner of this bank, and you just refused to serve me." The man swallowed hard, suddenly standing up straighter. His confident arrogance had vanished, replaced by nervous energy. Other employees started noticing, whispering among themselves. Lisa remained calm, but inside, she was replaying the moment over and over. How many others had been turned away like this? And how long had it been happening? The teller's hands trembled slightly as he pushed the folder back toward Lisa. I didn't know," he stammered, his voice barely above a whisper. Lisa folded her arms, studying him. "And if you had known," she asked, "would you have treated me differently?" The man opened his mouth, but no words came out. The uncomfortable silence stretched between them, and Lisa could feel the weight of the moment. She wasn't just standing there for herself, she was standing there for every customer who had ever been dismissed, disrespected, or ignored. A manager, a middle-aged man in a navy suit, hurried over, sensing something was wrong. "Is there a problem here?" he asked, glancing between Lisa and the teller. Lisa turned to him slowly. "That depends," she said. "Would you call it a problem when your employees turn away customers based on how they look?" The manager's face tensed, but before he could respond, a woman in line spoke up. "She's right," the woman said. "I've seen it happen before." More murmurs followed, customers nodding, whispering to each other. Lisa looked around, realizing this was bigger than just one rude employee. This was a culture, one she was now in a position to change. The bank lobby grew eerily quiet, the tension thick in the air. The manager shifted uncomfortably, forcing a tight smile. "I'm sure this is just a misunderstanding," he said, his voice strained. Lisa raised an eyebrow. "A misunderstanding," she repeated. "Tell me, how many of these misunderstandings happen every day? How many customers walk out of here feeling less than human?" The manager hesitated, his eyes darting toward the teller, who now looked like he wanted to disappear. The customers were watching closely, waiting for an answer. Some whispered, some nodded in agreement, while others pulled out their phones, recording the moment. Lisa took a step closer. "You see, I didn't just buy this bank to sit in an office. I bought it because people deserve better, and if this is how business has been run here, that's about to change." The manager cleared his throat. I assure you, we take customer service seriously." "Do you?" Lisa cut in. "Because from what I just experienced, I'd say you take some customers seriously and dismiss the rest." The crowd murmured louder, the weight of her words sinking in. The teller's face was now pale, his arrogance completely gone. The truth was out, and there was no covering it up. Lisa could feel it, the moment before everything broke wide open, the moment before real change either happened or was resisted, and now all eyes were on her to see what she would do next. Before Lisa could say another word, a voice from the back of the lobby spoke up. Actually, she's not wrong. Heads turned as an older black man in a security guard uniform stepped forward. His name tag read Charles, and his expression was one of quiet frustration. "I've worked here for over 20 years, he continued, and I've seen this happen more times than I can count. Customers ignored, treated unfairly, just like today. Nobody ever did anything about it." The manager's face tightened. "Charles, that's not appropriate." "It's the truth," Charles said firmly. "And now the new owner is standing here, calling it out, and you want to sweep it under the rug." Lisa's eyes locked onto his. She could see it, the years of witnessing injustice, of staying silent because he had no choice. But now, with her here, things were different. The tension in the room thickened as the manager's jaw clenched. "Lisa, I'm sure we can handle this privately." "Privately?" Lisa repeated. "No, this needs to happen out in the open." Just then, another employee, a young woman in a bank uniform, hesitated before stepping forward. "Miss Carter," she said nervously, glancing at the manager. I was told not to say anything, but..." She swallowed hard, then continued. "Some accounts get approved faster than others, depending on who's applying." Lisa's stomach tightened. The teller's rudeness was just the surface. This ran deeper. The customers were no longer just watching. They were invested. The energy in the room shifted from silent tension to something stronger: expectation. Lisa had come here to make a statement. Now she had a responsibility, because if she didn't fix this, who would? The entire room was on edge, waiting for Lisa's next move. She could feel the weight of every stare, every unspoken story behind the eyes of the customers and employees who had stayed silent for too long. This wasn't just about her anymore. This was bigger. She turned back to the manager, her voice steady but sharp. "You want to handle this privately because you don't want accountability. But that ends today." She glanced at the young employee who had just spoken up. "Tell me who gave those instructions." The woman hesitated, then lowered her eyes. "It came from the top," she admitted. "Corporate guidelines." Lisa's breath caught. Corporate? This wasn't just a few bad employees. It was a system built to favor some while shutting out others, and now she was in the perfect position to tear it down. The manager's face turned pale. "Lisa, be reasonable. You can't change everything overnight." "Watch me," Lisa said. She turned to Charles. "From today on, I want every customer treated with the same respect. No more unspoken rules. No more discrimination. And if anyone has a problem with that, they can leave." Charles nodded, a hint of a smile breaking through. The young employee sighed in relief. Even the customers looked hopeful. But just as Lisa thought she had taken back control, the teller who had refused to serve her suddenly stepped forward. His face was no longer apologetic. It was angry. "You think you can just walk in and change everything?" he snapped. "You may own this place now, but you'll never fit in. People like you never do." Gasps rippled through the room. Lisa met his glare without flinching. Then slowly, she pulled something else from her bag, a termination letter already signed. She had come prepared. Sliding it across the counter, she said calmly, "You're right. I don't fit in with discrimination. That's why I'm here to end it. Effective immediately, you no longer work here." The teller's mouth opened, but no words came out. The customers erupted into quiet cheers, and Lisa turned to the rest of the staff. "If anyone else shares his views, you're free to walk out now. Otherwise, welcome to the new era of this bank." No one moved. No one spoke. Then, one by one, employees nodded in agreement. Lisa exhaled. The fight wasn't over, but she had taken the first step. And as she looked around at the hopeful faces surrounding her, she knew this was only the beginning. The teller stormed out, his footsteps echoing through the quiet lobby. Lisa watched him go, then turned back to the employees and customers still gathered around. Some looked relieved, others uncertain, but there was something new in the air: hope. Charles stepped closer and gave her a small nod. "It's about time," he said. Lisa smiled. It is, and this is just a start. Over the next few weeks, she worked tirelessly to rebuild trust. Policies were rewritten, training programs launched, and every employee was reminded that respect was not optional. Word spread quickly. Customers who had once been ignored now felt welcomed. One afternoon, as Lisa walked through the bank, she noticed an elderly woman at the counter, smiling as she was helped without hesitation. The sight made her pause. She had set out to change a business, but in the end, she had done something even bigger. She had changed lives.